think of my shirt.
Minor inconvenience survivor. I love it.
Yeah.
I should have worn my hoodie.
Yeah, it's pretty classy, isn't it? So
You know what? I made them up, and I think I've got a couple for the kids now, so they can wear them to school.
oh, good. There you go.
Somebody might
They
have
might
a
be
problem.
offended. They might be offended.
They might be
like,
offended.
You know, I remember when I was in school, it was a big deal with The Simpsons, right? And it was Bart Simpson on a skateboard and said, "Heaven doesn't want me, and hell's afraid they'll take over," or something.
Right.
And the kid got in trouble, and the shirt got banned.
The shirt got banned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Hell had the word hell in it.
Had the word hell in it. Okay.
Had the word hell in it. Whoa, things have changed now, right? You can have pretty much any word you want on those shirts, and it's okay because it's expression of freedom, right? Freedom of expression.
You know what? There were things that but I'll give you this. There were things that we had in school that were slightly inappropriate for school. Like I remember having a Motley Crue shirt back in the day.
Yeah.
That was definitely inappropriate for school. But it wasn't the teachers.
Put your comments up there, your chat lines.
Sure. No one's in there yet.
That we're used to that.
Right? Hey, why is this doing this? Hang on a sec. I have to shift. Oh. And then I have to do this. I'll get it. Just give me a second.
There you go.
There we go.
There we go. That's better.
Nice gameplay. Okay. Am I first? Yep. Evan, you're first.
You were the first.
So go ahead, because I got confused by the whole
Motley Crue. You were saying
I had a Motley Crue shirt. I think it was like a Shout at the Devil shirt. And it wasn't the school that said you can't wear that. It was my parents. They're like, you're not wearing that thing. They hated that I bought it in the first place. That's where I think the parents be parents. If you don't think your kid should do something, don't let them do it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just changed. Good evening. Oh, who do we got here? Pebbles is here.
Pebbles are. Hey, I remember when I was in high school, I dated a girl. Okay. Yes, I dated a girl.
Really?
Yes. She was white too. Because you were going to ask me that. You were going to ask me that. So we didn't have a lot of selection back then, did we?
Were you tutoring her?
So tutoring her.
Were you her math tutor?
Right. English tutor. But I always remember because people were like, "Wow, you're going to date her?" And I was like, yeah, like she looks pretty. Like, what's the big deal? And it's like, do you see how she dresses? Like, she dresses pretty scandalous.
And that's
I was like, that's why I liked her in the first place. And it was like, you know what the scandal at the time, like the scandalous attire at that point in time was?
Belly shirt.
It was a belly shirt. You could see her belly button.
Ooh, belly button.
And remember the jeans back then? It's not like they're the jeans now where they're basically painted on. Right.
Well, the jeans back then pretty much went up to their armpits, didn't they?
But pretty much, yeah. So I mean, it was like, this is scandalous. Like, wow. Now today's standards, it's like, whoa. Like, it's crazy.
It's changed. And here's the thing: I wouldn't have a problem with a school dress code. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Whatever.
No.
Have a dress code. Have a uniform. That's fine.
It makes things simple. Like I wear a dress code every day when I go to work.
Yeah, so do I. I'm pretty. Yeah. It depends what I'm doing, what hat I'm wearing. If I'm behind the chair, it's whatever. If I'm in my professional setting, I actually do look like a professional. But
I wear reactive shirts and I wear like black pants or like gray pants, and that's it.
Oh, here's the thing. I want to let you know that I had the best customer experience of my life with a company called Man-Made.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So for Valentine's Day, Kelsey got me a shirt and the boxer briefs from Man-Made. I'm like, okay.
Very cool.
Lovely. And I went and they make pants.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Right. They make the pants. And I talked to them. I emailed them, said, hey, here's my question. I wear a size 15 shoe. And if I wear a pant that goes like tapers down, it looks like skis. It looks ridiculous. I'm just curious how they're made.
Yeah, it's a little like a Weird Al Yankovic style.
Right. And within 10 minutes, I got an email from them. Hey, you know what? They're actually a slight taper. They're not like a skinny jean. They're blah, blah. And it was a back and forth. He goes, what size are you? How big are you? Like, and it was back and forth so quick. I am going to order 2 pairs of their pants because they look phenomenal.
Yeah. Now, was it AI you were talking to?
No, it was a dude. It was an actual email.
How do you know?
Well, because I talked about the fact that I do like strongman stuff. So my quads are big, my calves are big. Yeah. I don't know what I need. And it was a good conversation. It was a guy named Terry or Bruce or
that's why I'm saying it's probably AI. If it was a good conversation, it probably was good. It was an AI.
Whenever I see, we're going to question everything on AI. The reality is, if you see a happy couple on Facebook, you're going to say, yeah, that's probably AI.
Well, I mean, that's probably AI.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I think that it's, it was good. I'm gonna buy pants from them because I think that was phenomenal.
Yep, yeah, that's cool. How much are the pants though?
$85. That's
whatever, right?
Jeans are $100.
$100 easy.
And I'm kind of tired of wearing jeans all the time because I want like pants. But they whatever. You know what? I'm just saying they had really good customer service. I was very happy with them.
Yep.
Okay, what do we got here? Chat's going.
If it's a joint Facebook account, probably not AI, but it's probably not the husband either.
No, it was legit email.
No, he means like a happy couples, right?
Oh, the joint Facebook
joint Facebook accounts. Like somebody cheated.
Nothing says I don't trust you.
Yeah,
like the husband and wife having one account. Now there are times when I'd say a joint account makes sense. Let's just say they're 75.
No, doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Get off Facebook.
Get off Facebook.
Get off Facebook.
You can do that too.
You don't have much left. Get off.
You know what I find interesting are people that use the I don't have social media like it's a badge of honor. Mm-hmm. Hey, it's great. Do you have a phone book then somewhere?
Yeah.
Like, what are you using? How are you connecting with people?
Is it smoke signals or something? Or like, what do you do here? Right?
It's like people that still use Google. Come on.
Yeah. Like Google.
Google's
basically grade 2 AI.
Google is like the Yellow Pages as of right now.
Yes.
And I think it's I haven't Googled something.
Yeah.
In months. I haven't Googled anything.
Okay, but you don't have like our online booking system now has the option to book off of Google. We get a lot of them. Surprisingly, a lot of people are off Google. Up. But when that's how they find us, they go into Google and they find us and they book directly from there. So it really is there.
It's still used, but I think it's going to be done. I think the Google's going to be. Why would you use Google? And even if you use Google on your phone, you're going to go to the AI mode anyway.
It's going to go to AI. Yeah, it's going to go to Gemini basically, anyways. So I will say I like Gemini.
That's my favorite.
Yeah,
Gemini is my favorite, and
I've started using it. I started using Grok a little bit, and I was like, Grok is pretty good, but sometimes it seems a little bit mentally handicapped or something. It just has really big glitches.
Are you allowed to say that?
Yeah, I was going to say something else.
I guess you can with an AI.
But I was going to say something else, but whatever.
It hallucinates.
Does it ever?
Dogpile is a big thing. Good evening, everybody. Wow, we got people hopping into the chat and
there we go. Yeah,
and checking it out. So, and here's one thing I don't understand. Let's go to the education system since we're going to get dogpiled with this one.
I hope so.
Here's what I don't understand, and I get the reason, kind of, but on the other hand, I don't.
Yeah.
So, lots of schools and lots of teachers, I'm not saying all, are strongly against the kids using AI.
Yes.
Now,
universities as well.
Sure. Here's the thing. Don't get AI to write your shit. And I'll tell you right now, from the amount of AI that I have utilized in the last long while, I can sniff it out in a millisecond if it's written by AI. I got it.
Yeah.
But for them to say, don't use AI. Yeah, I believe you shouldn't get it to cheat for you. No. However, if one of our kids was going to do a research paper on something, do I want them using Google? Because they're going to use the internet. Do I want them using Google to find this site? And they're going to get lazy because they're going to go through 2 sites and use that. Or have a conversation with AI saying, no, I'm actually trying to figure out how this happened or when did this happen? And you can talk to it and build and learn from it. Like, I think there's a learning model there for kids that Google never had. The internet didn't really have in this context. And for teachers to say, well, we don't want them using AI. Sure. Again, don't get them to write the report.
Yeah.
But for the kid to be able to do a deep dive to get interested in what they're talking about, what they're writing about, why would you hamstring them like that?
You really have to look at it back historically from the old times, okay? Because remember when the internet and was starting to really become a thing,
Yep.
and people were really worried that the internet was going to be used for cheating. Okay, people are going to go online. They're going to find an answer. They're not going to check their sources, or they're going to go on Wikipedia, and you can't trust Wikipedia, even though they found similar amount of errors in Encyclopedia Britannica than they have in the Wikipedia. Okay, so it really comes down to the fact that the people who are making the decisions, the higher ups, are quite simply maybe a little bit old and afraid of doing some change, and are just trying to hold on to certain positions without creating any steps forward.
Well, I mean, I'm just doing this so it's a little better. I don't think that we've got you're probably right. You're probably right. I'm looking at AC's, what she's writing here. And here's the thing. Where to go? You can identify more and learn. Where does she have it? She had the fact check. Let's talk about manual. Where the heck is it in her skill? Come on. Oh, it differs from manual analysis. Sure. The problem is, let's look at the reality of the situation. Are kids going to go to the library and dig through 80 different books to find the information they need? No, they're going to use the internet, period.
Are you going to find many libraries that have more than 80 books?
Can you find a school with a library in it? Oh,
right? There's the thing. Or a librarian, for that matter. Now, you have to look at it this way. Instead of creating situations where we're trying to prevent kids from using AI, we should be looking at it as a way to teach AI ethically. Show people the correct way to use it, the wrong way to use it, so you don't make those mistakes, and how it can actually give you better answers. It can help refine your writing, your skill set, help you with editing. Because my God, you and I have both used it for data crunching, finding information, and editing our terrible workmanship that we do get. And it works amazing for fine tuning your skill sets.
Well, and I think that if you put it that way, it makes complete sense. I think that we're also in this bubble right now. I think that we're in an AI bubble.
Yeah, 100%.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it took 6 months. It took 6 months of AI video showing up on your TikTok feed, AI video showing up on your Facebook feed for people to be already sick of AI.
Yeah.
Okay. You have alphas and Gen Zs that are unplugging and going analog, which is fantastic.
It is.
So I wonder if there's going to be that push against the tech, like against letting the robot do it, but using the robot. Like, I think the ethical way to do it is to use the robot like it's kind of your bitch and let it ask it the questions, and you control this thing.
It's a freaking tool. Nobody outlawed the hammers when they started becoming forefront. Like that's really the thing. It comes down to, can we find a better way to do certain things so we have more time to do the human experience, things that are actually matter, where there's art, creativity, music, or something to that, interactions,
writing,
right?
Actually writing.
Right.
But I think that, well, and to quote Gary Vee, who I love, he said, when the tractor came out, people lost their minds.
Yeah.
Because 80% of the population were farmers.
Yes.
Well, this is going to put people out of work. Well, no, what it did was it made you a better farmer.
Yeah.
It made you more efficient. And here's one thing that this term is going to go away real fast. I don't know. Doesn't exist anymore.
Well, it better not exist anymore. It shouldn't have existed for quite a long time.
No.
Oh, I mean, good God, there were so many answers that people could derive out of the internet without AI.
Without AI, but here's where the human element comes into play. We need to learn from human beings. I think the most interesting people you're going to meet are probably 85 and older.
Yeah.
And we need to get those life lessons that you're not going to get from a robot or a teacher.
Yeah.
Because there's certain lines they can't cross when they're talking to kids.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
So what is historically, if you look back in time, like over the thousands and thousands of years, what was the number one way that people instilled wisdom and knowledge to future generations?
Cave paintings?
Oh, yes. Come on. That's just graffiti.
Stories.
Storytelling.
Yeah.
Right. 100% storytelling. And that's how we passed it down. Whether it was parables like Aesop's fables, or whether it was even things like from the Bible. These are all the stories that were in small bite-sized pieces that could be repeated and told over and over as learning experiences.
Well, and we had stories that we read in school. Like the stories that we got from our elders and everybody else. Like my grandfather was a storyteller. Yeah, Mike was a storyteller, man. He would have the room no matter where he was. And I remember sitting there listening to him. Like, I don't think I've so intently listened to another human being as much as I listened to my grandfather on the boat, where he would just tell me stories about everything. Like, I'm talking about stories from his dad coming from Ukraine, right? Escaping the war and what he had to do to get out of there and all this stuff. Like the stuff that we heard and the hardships that they lived through. My grandfather, my parents, man.
Yeah.
My parents, like, they lived in a old ass farmhouse that didn't have running water. The heat kind of worked sometimes. Like, I think one of the bigger problems is the last generation to face real hardships. I'm not talking like shit's kind of shitty. I'm talking about real hardships. It's been generations since there's been actual hardship.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at a silent generation because they were around for the world wars, for the depression, things like that, where they really tax people as a whole, as well as society. Like, you didn't know what was the life expectancy back then?
40, 50.
Like, it's I'm actually going to check that here. Come on, computer.
Like, here's the thing. You look it up, and I'm going to say this. Like, you realize one of the biggest, I don't know if I've ever got into this before. Like, we count like immigrant great grandparents, right? Came from Ukraine, escaped the war. You realize that they came here, they would get a little chunk of land, farm it. But then when the war happened, that was taken.
Yeah.
And they were put in concentration camps, one of the biggest ones being here in Brandon.
Yeah.
Like, they also lost, and they had stuff taken away. And I mean, what do we have? Slow internet?
Yeah.
Maybe you're broke for a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to make a choice of not having something you really, really want.
Yeah. Okay.
The needs, man. Go ahead.
Here we go. Global life expectancy. This is from AI, taking it from Wikipedia, though. Okay, that's the source. So, I mean, I know some people are going to get really upset about that one because it's a double whammy there.
That's fine.
Early life expectancy globally in the early 1900s was approximately 31 to 32 years of age.
Wow.
Okay, largely driven because of high infant mortality rates. The U.S. life expectancy was 47 to 50. Wait a minute, so we're done?
I think we're going to live. Sadly, I think we're going to live to 100.
I would argue that 100%. Okay, because the average life expectancy right now is for men about 80 years of age. Okay, women is about 84.
Yet, isn't it interesting how back when you were living till you were 32? You had kids. You had kids.
You had them young.
You had them young.
Very young.
Now, people are waiting. Yeah. Now, people aren't even bothering having kids. Hang on. AC's got something going up there. Can you click on that? I don't know what will happen if I
don't know. Let me check here. Let's see.
See what it'll do.
Not much happens. Hold on. I got copy and paste it.
But I think that with
that's life expectancy trends. I was on this one too, but it was going to be digging out a lot of information, and I was like, let's just go into some statistics side of things here. But like human life expectancy, early Bronze Age was 24.
Right. So you had families to make sure that the farm and everything could continue. Now people wait; they don't have kids till later. And what's really interesting is that back then, even when we were kids, our parents parented. I'm not saying parents are bad. However, I don't believe that schools are daycares. I'll say that out loud.
Well, that's the truth, Well, like it's like really.
Page 20. She's telling you to go to page 20. I saw this thing, and this is what I can't wrap my brain around. I grew up when I was going to Massey in junior high. I lived up on Marquee Crescent.
Yes.
Okay. South end of 26th Street. And that's a bit of a hike. And I walked to school and I walked home for lunch and back. You had enough time to get your ass home, shovel something down, and get back to class. That was it. And I forget what is 1.6 kilometers is now if you're within that, people want their kids to be staying for lunch. Like, go home.
Yeah.
Go home. Like, what's the problem? I don't get, I guess if you're 5 or 7 or under 12, but I was in junior high. I was 12 years old. You walk home, you walk back.
Yep.
Why? Schools are there for education. Okay.
100%. Yeah.
I don't believe they're there to be your daycare.
No, they're there for education. They're there to socialize children, what's acceptable, what isn't acceptable in civilization, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's what recess is for.
So there's these things. It's networking, it's learning, making friends, developing peer groups, the social experiments, right?
Gym class.
So
yeah.
Yep. So here we go. Life expectancy for males. 1930 is 60, okay, in Canada, and 1960 is 62 is 68. Okay,
68.
That's actually an impressive jump in
Sure.
30 years. For females was 62 at 1930 to 32, up to 74 by 1960 to 62. So, I mean, part of that is because, well, women live longer because, well, guys are dumb and they say things like, hold my beer.
Oh, we're dumb. We're stupid.
Right? You know, they're like, hey, guys, check this out.
But we also do the stupid thing of proving we can do it, even though we know we can't.
Yeah, guys are also the people who are the massive self-sacrificers. I've got to make this sacrifice for the family. I've got to make this sacrifice for my wife and all these things. And it's like, but does anybody really want you to do that?
But you're not 100% wrong.
Yeah.
Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I do think that there's also the things that they're not, again, teaching in school are those archetypes of human beings.
Yes, very much.
Like,
archetypes, oof, that's a big one.
Isn't it, though?
It's a big one.
Okay, should you not want to be able to raise a family? Should that not be important?
Absolutely, it should be important.
Okay.
I mean, that's really, we're here for one reason, you know?
And the only reason for, in my opinion, marriage is to have kids, is to have a family, is to raise a family.
Exactly.
By whatever kind of marriage you have, raise a family. Like if you can't have kids because it's physically impossible for the two to do it, adopt a kid. There's lots of kids that need to be adopted.
There's more than one way to have a baby, right?
There's a lot of ways to have a baby.
Yeah.
Here's one of the hot takes I had for tonight's live stream. Curriculum isn't the problem. The problem is a system that treats learning like a conveyor belt. Kids don't need more content. They need more chances to actually learn it.
Yeah.
And I believe that 100%. I think that when you have a system that you just need to read it, hold it in your brain till Friday, till you have a quiz, then burp it out, and then you're done.
Yeah.
Doesn't teach you much.
Yeah. I remember when I went to school for massage therapy, they had a very different way of learning. Okay. And for the first part of the curriculum, I was like, this is a frustrating mess because it was like we were having a test. Like, God, every week it seemed like we had what worked out to be I think it was 10 closed book assignments, which are tests.
Right.
Okay. And it was like, wow, this is a lot of testing material. Why is it so much? Well, it's in we took each part in very small bite-sized chunks. Okay. So you learned it very quickly, a small amount, and you tested on it, which was great because then it wasn't to me anyways, a lot of people were very frustrated with it. But for my perspective was like, hold on, this is actually really smart because then I can see what I'm learning and reassess what I'm not retaining to move forward to the next test.
Well, and I agree with that 1,000% because we talked about this earlier. I might have mentioned it to you, or I was talking to somebody about it. And let's just say your kid has because let's just face it, no one's failing anymore. Can we just
no, they really aren't. That is a very true thing.
So are they learning? Like, I believe that as a business person or as a person who's been basically self-employed for a number of years, the only way to be better in business is to fail.
Yes.
Then you learn from your mistakes and you keep on going.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You find out what works, what sticks, and you move on as long as you're willing to learn from those mistakes.
Right. So let's just say you have a social studies test on Friday and you fail that test. Okay. Would it make, so as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, what happens when you make a mistake? You don't just move on to tomorrow, you master what you failed. Right?
Correct.
So you get a 48 on this social studies test, and now the class, you're moving on to the next lesson. Well, you didn't learn the last lesson.
And that's how a lot of things are, because a lot of kids are like, well, I didn't understand that, but moving on,
But moving on, but you still don't understand it, which means that at the end of the year, you still did not learn that.
Correct. Yeah.
So are we doing them any favors by just, okay, no, next. Like,
yeah.
When do you slow it down? And I get it. There's funding, there's everything else. But if you have a failure rate of 50% in your class, I don't think moving on to the...
You might be the problem.
Well,
right?
It might
the
be
teacher and all the students and the curriculum. The whole thing is failing because the system is not working at that point.
No. And so again, like I'm saying, if you have a 50% failure rate or a 40% failure rate in your classroom, should you be moving on to the next lesson?
No.
Just because the curriculum says that it has to be done. Well, if you didn't teach it, if they didn't get it the first time, it didn't get taught.
Exactly. You had a massive lapse in the educational components of the program. And I get it. There was a lot of things that are factoring in to why students have a hard time in class. The lack of attention span from social media, or it can be disruptive students or higher needs individuals that classmates. There's a lot of different factors, or overpopulation in the school system in the classrooms.
Okay, well, let's go into a highly controversial topic with that one. Okay, and I went on to I was looking up complaints that parents have, complaints that students have, and complaints that teachers have.
Yeah.
And one of them was you have kids that are neurodivergent, whatever it may be, in a classroom.
Yeah.
And you have the kids that are getting it, the kids that are overachievers, and you have them. And the idea of putting them all in the same mold does not work.
No.
It does not work. Because again, if the teacher is now spending 40% of their energy on that kid or the couple kids that need extra whatever, is the rest of the class suffering because of it? And I understand that, yes, some kids need more attention. That's great. But that's where you need to have specialists come in to help with that.
Yeah.
Because as a teacher, I don't believe that's part of your training.
It is very difficult to educate everything to the lowest common denominator, because if you're focusing all your time on the ones that need this care and this attention, you have the ones who are doing well that are going to get bored and they're not going to enjoy the whole school experience. Like it needs to be something where everyone's still retaining and getting enough intellectual, social, all the stimulation that you could to keep interested in the day.
Right. And the one the kids that were getting it, but if for some reason they're getting 20% less education because 40% of the energy is being utilized over here for one or two kids.
Yeah.
Like when we were in school, there was classes, there was like a special ed class.
Yeah.
And it was fine. And it seemed to work. Although I don't know if that could be utilized now in the same fashion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was the concerns of segregation and things like that they felt that perhaps people were being treated differently.
Well, right? Okay. Then let's go with what was happening on the news. There are teachers that want danger pay because, like, one teacher had a kid that bites.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like we're getting some very, very aggressive individuals, very aggressive children, and that turns into a very dangerous position when they are also a protected individuals, and you need to be very careful with what you do and do not do for restraining them.
Okay, so as a teacher, how is that your job?
Well, that's the thing.
There's people that are actually medically trained to deal with this. Not
correct.
Teachers.
Yes.
So we're asking them to do well above and beyond what they had ever expected to be part of throughout their entire university career, going into teaching, and no longer are they just teaching science, they're teaching science. Oh, and by the way, this kid might just wind up and punch in the face if he loses his eraser.
Not only are you going to be teaching science in your curriculum, but you're also going to be doing a lot of social services type work. So in like, I guess it was a couple of years ago, the big concept was defunding the police. Okay. And there was two different perspectives on that. One, which was crazy, which was, just take all away their money and get rid of the cops. And the other one was like, no, let's actually try to support them and have them doing the job that they're capable of doing and bringing in people who will do the parts that they shouldn't be doing, whether it's social work or counselors or whatever it might be. And these are the types of things that need to be done also in the school system. In my opinion, I'm not exactly a specialist. I don't have a master's degree or anything like that.
No.
But, like But I think this is a legitimate concern where it's like, teachers do best when they are teaching, and they do the best teaching when they are supported.
In what ways could schools move from being competitive marketplaces to communities of shared learning? Here's the problem. The world isn't a community of shared learning. The world is competitive. That's part of the problem. The world's not fair. And if we're not preparing the kids to be competitive, how will they survive in the world?
Unfortunately,
without failing.
Yes, we live in a meritocracy where it is a competitive edge to be the brightest and the best, or whatever it might be, for those high pressure, high position, high paid jobs with prestige. Now, do those jobs necessarily exist anymore? I question that, but the drive is still there.
Well, yeah, I think the biggest thing is when it comes to shared learning, I think that one of the biggest things that can be instilled in a kid is confidence, but actual confidence, not false confidence, real confidence.
Yes.
Like, you're really good at this, and you suck at this, but you're great at that. There's nothing wrong with being shitty at something.
Exactly. I mean, like, we all have to, like, my God, can you imagine if somebody told you what you were good at and what you were not good at a better point in your life?
Right. But there's the difference. When we were kids, the list of things we were good at was really small.
Yeah.
It was small. You're good at this and this and this. You're probably not going to be a brain surgeon. No shit.
Yeah.
Like you could have been. Your parents probably wondered why you weren't a doctor by the time you were 12.
Doctor or surgeon.
How come you're not doctor yet?
Yes, or surgeon, right? So,
but I think that
that's been a drastic shift in how our society looks at things, because it used to be, like we've talked about the hero's journey before, which is, like the classic fable telling, where it's like, you're not good enough. If you work hard enough, you could be potentially. But a lot of it now has shifted towards, you are naturally good at this. You just need to show up, and you can do whatever you want. The world's your oyster. Everyone has the same opportunity, and everyone's a glorious human being. And it's like, no, there are people that are better than you.
Yeah, there are. And I think that that's where you have to have, how can I identify the facilities? I'm reading too.
Well, I mean, those topics are pretty diverse, and I think it's also getting pretty academic, which is way above my pay scale. So I'm going to say that.
Okay, but let's go with the real world example of what AC is saying here. How can identifying the facilitators and barriers that shape student engagement help schools design team-based learning environments that strengthen both student collaboration and community connectedness? Well, here's the problem. Community has dissolved.
Yes. So we talked about that last time I had my hair cut.
Right. So if community is the problem, and the community is a problem, because there was also a time when you had a peer group. You had a peer group that you had something in common with, and lots of those peers ended up in probably the same grade point average.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. Okay. So it's up to also the kid to surround themselves with people that are going to boost them up.
Yeah.
Like
you're the go ahead. You were going to say
you are the most like the 3 or 5 people that you surround yourself with. And that's where we have to teach our children to make better choices. Like I tell the kids all the time, what would you rather have in your pocket? 100 pennies or 4 quarters? 4 quarters. You don't have to like everybody. You don't be nice to everybody. You don't have to like everybody.
Yep.
And if that kid's a little shit, you do not have to engage with that kid. I'm sorry.
Kindness is a good thing, and unfortunately, I think you're right. For a long time, it's like, be nice to everyone. It's like, well, no. You need to be kind, to be respectful, but you don't need to be their best friend.
No,
just because you have a person there, or there's another coworker or kid or whatever it might be, does not mean you need to hang out with them on a daily basis. You might have to endure them for the time that you're together, but that doesn't mean you need to be best friends.
Well, I think what's changed too in society is that this mirrors school, and I just thought of this right now because now I'm putting the pieces together. But let's look at the job market and employment. There's no hiring problem.
Yeah,
it's a firing problem.
Correct. 100%. You don't get better at hiring people. You get better at firing them.
Right. So we have a firing problem. That's the problem. If you suck, you shouldn't be here. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And if you're not putting the effort into class and you're not ready to get promoted, then you do not get promoted.
Also,
that's the real world.
But the problem is with the real world, one of the issues is firing individuals is not a simple thing. It's not a simple cut of like, you just don't fit in here. It's time to move on, because that's when they start going to, they start making complaints to the labor department, right?
And
complain
to the labor department.
Absolutely. And I get it. If you've done everything right and you've done everything up to par, right? Theoretically, nothing can be done. Okay, like you're not gonna get penalized by anything.
No, but
okay?
if you're doing 49% of the work you're supposed to be doing at work, you should probably not have that job anymore.
Correct. Which is the importance of job descriptions and understandings. But say you, because I've had this before where we've let someone go or somebody has left or whatever it is, and they're not happy, and it turns into retribution. They're going to go after you in every possible way they can.
So
whether it's anonymous calls to like GST or CRA or filing complaints or whatever it might be, or going on social media rampages.
But that's just saying that the loudest idiot gets the reward.
It's absolutely correct. And unfortunately, our system does reinforce and support that too, because everyone's story needs to be heard, except for you, because you're ultra rich and you can afford it, right?
Yeah, that's right. The person that put everything on the line to have a business is the dick.
You take your case, okay? Say you're cutting hair one day. I'm in to see you, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like you're using razor, and it like nicks me on the side there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, okay, I don't care, right? But then you get Mr. Ultra Sensitive or something, and nicks you there, and it's like, you know what? I'm gonna go contact your college, your association. I've also done social media and tell people what's going on. And you can't stop me. Next thing you know, health and safety is knocking on your door and these complaints, and they find there's nothing wrong. But it's still a waste of your time.
Right. So here's also where the person that's in my position needs to take responsibility for what just happened and say, oh my God, sorry, this happened. And any decent human being is going to be like, holy shit, this has never happened before. Like, no big deal. I'll live.
But we have a lot of not decent human beings.
We have a lot of not decent human beings. And I think that when we tell everybody that they're all great and they're all lovely and they're all perfect at everything, it gives them this, it's not realistic. And here's the thing about the reality about school is that your grades do not determine how successful you're going to be in life.
Correct.
They do not determine how successful you're going to be in life.
Yeah.
What did you learn? Are you learning something?
Yeah.
Now, in grade 7, we were just talking about this because Gage just came back from he had home ec and they're getting into shop class and this thing. You realize that by the time I was 12, okay, I had built a shed at River Heights in junior high doing shop class.
Yeah.
With power saws. It's okay for your kids to use power tools.
100%. I mean, they might lose a finger, but haven't we all?
How many do you really need?
Exactly.
That's
why you have toes.
Let's go back to what AC's saying. The web of connections that shape the learner's experience and who they can become. Here's the thing. You can also become independence is not a bad thing. Ultra dependence is not great. And I do believe that there should be more connections for sure. But I don't think that people want to be good or decent. I don't think what forces culture to push away from being good and decent. I think narcissism.
Genetics can do that. There are genetic ties to a lot of social dysfunctions that can stand out. So you're going to get some people who just are objectifiers about whatever situation. The sky is blue. No, it isn't green. I don't agree with you. And they're going to be argumentative and confliction based just purely on the fact that they can.
I did read an interesting thing about daughters and what traits they get from their fathers.
Yeah.
And one of them is their social interactions.
Okay. Yeah.
And how they interact with other human beings. And I see the difference between our kids. Gage is very sarcastic, which is fine because so am I. Bo is extremely kind, kind.
Right.
But does she really care if she has a group around her? Not at all. And that's me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I do think that, there's things that you're going to learn. There's nature and there's nurture.
Yep.
School, on the other hand, school is where we learned how to make mistakes. school is where we learned how to socialize with other people of our size, right?
School is relatively a safe place to make those mistakes, which is the great thing. You have a lot of guardrails, you have a lot of protective mechanisms, right? It's just you have to be cautious that the trend is to be overprotecting, right?
Overprotecting, but here's the thing: if a kid runs his mouth in the schoolyard, we would have 3 o'clock by the bike rack.
Yeah, you might have something behind the church at noon, right?
So, there was schoolyard justice that was a good learning experience.
Yeah.
And I think I talked about this before when I hear someone say, well, he's not hurting anybody. You know what? He's being a dick. And there's a good chance that he's probably going to get punched out by somebody. I'm sorry. Be nice.
Now or later, one of the two. If you're a real jerk, it's going to come up to you.
It's coming. And when you talk about one thing that we did learn in school that I think has changed. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, whether I got a teacher in the room or an educator. AC is a lot smarter. She reads more than we do, and she writes more than we do. So I think she can probably attest to this. When we were in school, okay, our parents are our parents at home. At school, that teacher was the authority when we're not in the room.
Yep.
Like that authority was given to that teacher.
And even worse, they talked to your parents.
Absolutely. But they were the authority, and we respected them as much, if not more than our parents, because that's the adult in the room. You didn't question them. You didn't talk back to them. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But now you got 12-year-olds that are yelling at a teacher. Hold the hell up here.
Yeah, something is not right here, guys. Like this is this thing. Like I would not have thought about. Maybe I didn't agree with the teacher. Maybe I can't ever think of a time that I argued with the teacher, though. But it was like I remember once in class we had a substitute teacher, and one of the students got up and wrote profanity all over the chalkboards before the teacher got in. And I'm just sitting there going, why would you do this? What does it serve?
Nerd. Come on. I'm just kidding.
But really, it'd be like you walk into your class and somebody's written that, Mr. Durhack is a douchebag or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, what does that get?
Because kids, here's the thing: we're dumb when we're young. We're stupid. We do stupid stuff. But I do think that respect hierarchy, for some reason, let's just say little Billy. Let's just use Billy as a name because no one is named Billy anymore.
You took mine. That's literally my first name.
What?
Yeah, that's literally my first name.
Billy?
William is my first name.
Oh, well, okay, we're gonna use Bill. We're gonna use
there
Bill.
we go. You didn't know that one, I bet.
Okay, we're gonna use Billy. We're gonna use Billy because it's in my head. Or
How many Asians named Billy?
It's a terrible cowboy name, John Wayne.
Little Dewey.
Dewey. Here's the thing. And I'm assuming this is what would happen now, but if I would have ever lipped off my teacher, all hell would have broke loose in my house. Okay.
When we were young, they had the strap, though.
I got the strap in grade 4 from Mr. Stakilo in Henderson Elementary in Dauphin, Manitoba, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And guess what?
How was it? How was that?
It stung like a bitch. And did I deserve it? Yes. Did I ever do what I was doing again after that? No.
What were you doing? Like, it couldn't have been that illegal.
If I say it, it was grade 4, and I was maybe we were picking on somebody.
Yeah,
maybe
they probably deserved it.
No, this kid didn't.
No.
But the reality is, I deserved what I got. Now, this is where they say that it's going to traumatize the kid.
Yeah.
No, we're confusing childhood hardships. By our own hand with trauma. That's not trauma. No. I had it coming.
Yeah. So one of the best things I heard from I was listening to a podcast is with a counselor or a psychiatrist. It was somebody that was smarter than me. Anyways, I'm going to say that. And they were talking about the concepts of trauma. And they interrupted and said there's actually 2 types of trauma, because there's the big T traumas and the little T traumas.
Sure.
The big T traumas are the stuff that really affects your life, where the little T is kind of like, I got yelled at when I was in school once. And, I still remember that, made an impact, because it could have changed and shaped the direction of how you were moving for that time being. Whereas, like the big T trauma was like, hey, my parents beat the crap out of me when I was young.
Okay, so yeah, big T trauma would be something like that. Big T trauma would be like watching somebody die. Little T trauma, I don't think a crack in the ass with a belt would be big T trauma.
No. I mean, really you look at this way, you get cracks. Is that where they whipped you?
What?
Is that where you got the strap?
It was a belt.
Yeah. You got it across the butt?
Yeah. Hands on the desk.
Really?
Right across the ass. And then you went straight to class with your eyes welled up. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Like,
and guess what? I'm not traumatized by it.
And I'm not telling my parents it happened either.
Oh,
right?
God. That would have been worse.
We'll get it again. We had it, like, I'm sure we had it across the wrists or across the hands.
That was a meter stick we got across the knuckles.
Yeah,
that just happened in class.
I think I never saw the strap. The strap was always there. They came out with it and they would whip the desk with it.
Oh no. So we grew up in different times. So what we had was
there's like a year difference between us.
Oh, I know, but I lived in a small town. So here's the thing.
So did I, though.
Right, but so the meter stick was used regularly. We had a teacher in Crocus that would fling razor blades past you.
What?
Do you remember him?
No.
Oh yeah. Yeah, meter stick. Hang on. AC said something smart. They do. Hang on. I got to answer this before it goes away in chat, and then we'll get back to this. Do as I say, not as I do. Logic contributed to the disillusionment with authority. Okay, if you're saying do as I say, and I'm a decent human being, that's respectful. That makes sense. Not as I do. If I'm an asshole and a piece of shit, then you got to filter that shit out. But this is where kids also needed to learn how to read people, and they're not getting that through screens.
Well, she's also using it as a perspective of poor leadership, where a leader is like, do whatever I say, but don't actually do what I'm doing. I'm just telling you what to do correctly, but I'm going to do it wrong because that's the type of leader I am. You
get that. I think you're right on that one, 100%. Like,
and we see that quite a bit, where it's like, hey, like pull your pants up. Meanwhile, somebody's pants are dragging on the ground, right? The teacher or whatever, right? So,
and that go back in the school system where they talk about budgets and how do we keep the budget up? Well, you realize that's tied to graduation numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I taught, and I'm not talking on my ass, guys. I did actually teach in the Brandon School Division. I have also traveled the country teaching. So I've done, I've done both. So. Surprise. I've been an educator. You couldn't fail them. I'm like, well, the kid can't do the work. Like I remember having and I can talk about it because I don't work for these guys anymore, right?
Hey, you're a whistleblower here.
Sure, I'm a whistleblower, but I had a kid, and here's the thing: and I was teaching the hair course, and there is a lot more than just snipping and styling. There's also biology and everything else in there. And I remember this parent came in. This kid was failing. The kid wouldn't do shit. Okay, could write a test, no problem. Regurgitating information. I had a parent come in and try to strong arm a mark out of me. She goes, well. Because the kid couldn't do the work, wasn't even engaged. Not that they couldn't, they just didn't want to.
Just didn't.
They didn't do it. And she comes in, she goes, well, could she just do some more tests to get her grades up? I'm like, no. What do you mean no? I'm like, no. This kid has to be able to do the work. I'll tell you what, in a shop, in a salon, my peers are going to be the people hiring her. Should she even graduate?
Can you imagine how poorly that reflects upon you as an educator when somebody comes in and says, I took Quentin Durhack's course and I'm garbage?
Right. So that's what I said. I said, listen, my peers are going to be hiring her or him, whoever it was. But the last thing I want them is to have somebody in their salon that can't do the work. And they go, who taught you? Quentin taught you how to do this? Yeah. No, my reputation's on the line, and my colleagues have to have people coming out of here who are going to be able to do the work. Nobody cares what my marks were like. They want to know, do my hands do the things that my hands were taught to do?
Yep.
Okay. So I said, no, she's welcome to come in and I will work with her at lunchtime, whatever, give her more practice. She'll get this, but she has to actually do it. Yeah, but she's not very good with her hands. I'm like, what the hell is she doing in a hair course then? This is bringing her GPA down. I go, she's bringing her GPA down. This is not that hard. Trust me. If I figured this out, and when I went to hair school, I was 20 something and I had never touched a curling iron or any of that shit beforehand. And I was the only guy in that class. Trust me, I knew nothing. And somehow I figured it out and ended up being valedictorian of that school.
There we go.
Believe that. So anybody can do it. Even this dipshit can learn how to do stuff if you actually apply yourself, because I did not want to fail.
Yep.
Like I didn't care if I had great marks. I just didn't want to fail.
Yep.
And now there's no pressure for kids to not fail because they're going to grade 7 anyway. They're going to grade 8 anyway. They're going to grade 9 anyway.
So that's the thing that my son discovered early on. It was like, it doesn't matter what mark I get, I'm going to pass. So why would I do extra work if the results are the same? And when I realized he figured that out, I was like, kid, I don't even know how to convince you otherwise, because you have a very valid point, except for the fact that you quite simply won't be very proud of your work. But if you're okay with being able to sleep at night with those concepts, go right ahead.
Yeah, the problem that happened is it became something that didn't matter anymore. Like, here's the thing, a little shame goes a long way. I remember the first kid that failed in a class of mine. It was in grade 2. I remember he failed, and he was the only kid that failed. And he was in grade 2 and we were in grade 3.
Yeah.
But there's something about that, because you don't want to do that again.
No. I remember a kid when I was in school, he failed kindergarten, and I still remember that. And, like all of us, you're like in grade 1, you're like, well, I don't want to be that kid.
No, you don't.
like you failed playtime.
And you don't want to fail playtime, but here's the thing: if it doesn't matter, so what happens when these kids make it to high school? Are they ready? Because they'll not get credits at certain marks. Now,
they're pushing them through quite a bit still, though, right?
Well. Here's what I learned teaching high school. I had kids that couldn't read a clock.
Yeah.
I had kids that couldn't write a sentence. Could not write a sentence.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
You have kids who are literally reading several levels below their grade.
How'd you make it there? And why are you there at that point?
I'll back up to kindergarten for 1 second. I remember when my girls were going into kindergarten, and, we were like, oh my God, is our little girl going to be ready for kindergarten? Kind of a little paranoid, right?
Yep.
So we talked to kindergarten teachers, and we said, like, okay, like, our little girl's going to kindergarten soon. What should she be capable of doing before she gets into the school system? And they said, okay, well, that's simple. She should be able to spell her name in either small or capital letters. Okay. First name only, right? The second thing she should be able to do is use a pencil. And third is to be using scissors.
Yep.
Okay. And I remember looking at the teacher and saying, okay, like, I understand I'm maybe a little bit of an insane, overprotective parent here, but why are you making fun of me? Right? and she was like, I'm not. Those are the skills that you need to be ready. I'm like,
seriously?
No, like, are you serious? She's like, yeah. Like, there's kids who come into school and you get them a book and they start, poking it because they think it's an iPad. They don't know any better. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, there's kids that come into school and they can't write their name. I'm like, my daughter's reading books.
Well, yeah, because you read books, and because it depends on the household. I believe that as parents, our job is to be the EAs. Our job is to make sure, hey, what do you have for, like, every day when I pick up the kids, what do you guys have for homework? Okay, let's get at that as soon as we get home.
Yeah.
Get the homework done. And if you have any questions, let's talk about it. Yeah. I do find the reading part to be a little bullshit right now in school. And I'll explain why. We had assigned reading in school. Okay. And it was books you probably didn't want to read, but we read them. Lord of the Flies.
Yes. Oh, Piggy. That poor Piggy.
Right. 1984.
Yeah.
We read Day of the Triffids. We read The Outsiders.
Yep.
Now, The Outsiders stood out for me because that was about social cliques.
That's fair. Yeah.
Right. Hobbit. Right. You had to read a book, and the teacher said, you're reading this book, not just some bullshit fluff you pulled out of the library because it's an easy book to read and you're going to read this so you get your minutes in for the week. Yep. You had to read a book that you didn't give a shit about because it was a good story.
Read something that's of some significance, something that's more than 10 pages and lots of pictures.
Right. So when that bar gets dropped, well, they're not interested in that. It didn't matter. Do you think I was interested in reading Macbeth? No, I wasn't.
So carrying on to high school, okay, how many books do you think the average person reads after high school?
Are you GPTing this? Or are you going to...
Yeah.
Okay.
After high school.
I would, before you give us the answer, I'm going to say that I read more now than I ever did in high school, but I can't read fiction to save my life.
Okay. So it's actually pretty hard to really figure it out here to really say, High school seniors read significantly fewer non-assigned books, now about 3 compared to previous generations, which was 8. Okay. Ages 65 and up are most likely to read. Ages 45 to 54 have the highest percentage of non-readers. And about 46% of US adults read 0 books in the past year.
Really? Since you got that open up, ask it this. How many high school kids, let's just say ages go 15 to 25,
okay,
are reading self-help books? And I'm wondering if I'm curious, like, because
I've got a really good, you can move on self-help books. I've got a little addition I'll throw onto that one that I was listening to. How many high school kids are reading self-help books? I think there's a massive market. If you were a 16, 17-year-old male or female and you had any creative intention, what you should be doing is opening a YouTube channel of self-help and personal development, and you'll be a millionaire before you're 25.
You're not wrong. I think 100%.
That's my opinion.
That's your opinion.
So here we go. How many teens read books at all? 15 to 20% of teens read daily for pleasure. 29% report not reading at all in their free time, and 40% read nonfiction books monthly. Okay, so that's good, which includes things like self-help. Okay, nonfiction. Among teens who read nonfiction, self-help is one of the most common nonfiction categories teens pick.
Okay, so this is why I asked that question. Yeah. So I'm wondering if there's a correlation between kids that are realizing that they are not prepared for the world, they're not ready, they're full of doubt because they've been shuffled through a system, and now they're feeling lost. The last thing I would have read in high school would have been a self-help book. Well, I wouldn't have even known that they existed.
Hold on, but that's the thing, though. We didn't. What was there when we were young? Chicken noodle soup for the soul.
We had encyclopedias,
and you would have had
noodles. Mr. French
Tony
used to
Robbins,
cry while
maybe.
reading that, by the way.
Sorry, really?
Our business teacher, he would open up Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yeah.
Here's how that class went. We had one assignment. You're given the assignment on the first day of class, and it was due at the last day of class. That was it. And work on it as you wish.
That's fair.
And he would sit there and read Chicken Soup for the Soul to us and cry, which was actually quite touching.
Yeah, it would be. So the most popular self-help books for high school students are 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, Life Skills for Teens, How to Like Yourself, The Resilient Teen, The Self-Esteem Workbook for Teens. The fact that a Stephen Covey book is on there, it really makes me feel better. Okay. Now these are the adult ones that teens read. Okay. And I only knew a couple of the teen ones for good
48
reason.
Laws of Power. Yep. That's a hard read.
That is a hard read.
Okay.
Hard read. These ones make sense. Okay. Some of them, Atomic Habits. Yes, that was massively popular. Okay. Mindset. How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's a good one because
Carnegie,
you want to get it.
Book.
Carnegie, but that was where all the dating culture and everything started from. All of that stuff really came from there. Okay. The Alchemist, which is, have you ever read that one?
No.
It's good. It's a philosophical parable fictional story. It's really good, very quick, very easy. Okay. Who's it? Paolo, what's his name? I've got it somewhere. I can't remember. It's a good book. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad for Teens.
Right. So this is what I'm saying is that when you were a kid,
Paul Coelho. That's what it is.
Coelho. Yeah. When you were a kid, the last thing you would have been
Paolo. Sorry, go ahead.
So the last thing you would have been, because we had a lot more confidence back then.
Yeah.
You know why we had confidence? Because we worked hard and we accomplished things. Legitimately accomplished shit. We learned a science fair. Tell you what, science fair was something that really thinned out the herd.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like shit. I remember doing a science fair project. This is how times have changed. I remember doing one on lung cancer, and it was shit. It was I made my lungs out of Play-Doh.
Yeah.
And I had a plastic bottle with an actual cigarette in it, and the plastic bottle was full of cotton. And in school, I'd light the cigarette and pump this
suck it up. Yeah.
Suck it up. And it was a garbage project, but I got an okay mark on it. Yeah. It wasn't good. Like I got a bad mark compared to almost everybody else, and I felt really bad about what I put out there. To this day, I remember that being the worst science fair project I had ever done, ever. But I failed. And guess what? Did I ever do a shitty science fair project after that?
You learned your lesson pretty quick.
You learned my lesson. Like, what are you doing lighting cigarettes in the gym? They didn't care. You did.
Fire department shows up and pulled the fire hose and everyone's
happy. You were 12 years old. Everybody had a pack of smokes in their pocket. It was fine.
You know, okay, so this is my bragging. My 11-year-old last year, her and her friend did a science fair project.
Yeah.
Okay, and they actually went to the city. They went to Cities Meet. So they were thrilled. They had such a good time there. They had so much fun. They did not win. Okay.
That's fine.
But they did a really cool one. We did the elephant toothpaste. Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which if you don't know elephant toothpaste, check out Mark Rober's version of doing the elephant toothpaste.
Massive. Yeah.
Right. This year they did a solar oven. Okay. So they made an oven that works only on the power of the sun. Okay. And they got selected again to go to the cities. So they are very excited with it. That's 2 in a row.
Has anyone ever done a science fair project exploring which projects came in first over the last? I wonder.
Yes. Okay. People actually have done statistical analysis on that to determine which ones were the most popular. 100%.
But here, okay. I love that your daughter did well. I know that I did shitty. Bo's doing an interest fair this year. Here's what I think is horseshit about the system right now. You didn't have a choice in doing science fair when we were kids. You did it. Yep. Now it's if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. Why? No, you shouldn't
really
have to do it.
You don't have to do it.
You don't have to do it. It's if you want to do it, you can do it.
So, like at Waverly, you have to do it, okay? But it doesn't have to be science because it can be like an art-inspired one as long as you're doing something. Yeah. So that's better than nothing.
And but Bo's doing one on. She's doing very unique popcorn flavorings. And testing it as to which ones are great and which ones are shit. And we get to taste all these things. And she's been very creative with it.
Yeah.
And that's the artistic part of her. She likes to make.
That's cool.
Gage is a builder. He just did a bridge building competition and he won.
Yeah.
Which he's
just good.
He goes, I won. The thing held 40 books. I'm like, or 30, whatever it was. But the teachers are, shout out to Mr. Halls. Because he's kind of the shit. I like the guy. And that's Gage's teacher. He's phenomenal. He's engaged. He'll give me real feedback, tell me what he thinks. Like, where's he struggling? Where's he not? But he also is the guy that's going to say, listen, you realize that your son is one of the only kids that I can have like an adult conversation with. I'm like, what? Yeah. He goes, we can sit there and chit chat about whatever. And it's not just fluff, which is cool. But that's also parents have to do their thing, right?
Yeah.
So
here's a question for you.
Okay.
Which skills are being missed in the school system?
Critical thinking, 100%.
Okay. What do you mean by critical thinking?
Problem solving, being able to do it yourself.
Okay. And why would that be particularly relevant in the world today?
Because the reality is the world doesn't give a shit if you're struggling. The world doesn't. And we could say that, well, you know what? People care. No, not necessarily. Okay. No. I personally, I care that Jay's doing well. I care that people that I care for are doing well. I care that everybody who's in this chat's doing well. I hope that everybody is extremely successful. I really do.
You're not going to lose sleep over it.
No, but what I'm saying is that the ability to not have to have someone validate your actions is what is not being taught.
Yes. The number of times I've had young students in the 20s come in dealing with anxiety and talk about anxiety. And I really had to look at it and go, okay, so when we were young, we had anxiety. Okay. And that was like, okay, I am going to do this thing that gives me anxiety, but I'm still going to do it. But I have that fear or that excitement or that worry about accomplishment. Okay. So nowadays,
are you confusing anxiety with responsibilities?
To a certain part, yes. But even if it's like doing something like I've got to get up on stage and public speak. Okay. Some kids don't like that. That's going to give me anxiety. Okay, that's fair. Now, is it anxiety or is it excitement? They're the same physiological effect. So if you rephrase it, that's different. But now, one of the big things I find with a lot of younger people and older people, I'm not just going to give them the walk off on that one, is they come up to something challenging or difficult and they go, whoa, full stop. That gives me anxiety. It's like, well, okay, you still got to do it. No, didn't you understand what I said? I've got anxiety to do that. I can't do that. It's like, well, hold on here. you lack some resiliency, and I realize that things are hard, but you still need to do these things.
Okay, so I'll let me do a little confession to the chat and to the universe, because this is where this thing goes to. I personally, you can call it anxiety. I hate the word anxiety because I think I can get through it. I would have what you consider to be social anxiety.
Right. Okay.
I detest the idea of being in public. I really don't do it. But if I have a purpose, I'm fine. If I'm emceeing something, if I am hosting the strongman, if you give me a job to do in a public setting, I'm there. You ask me to mingle and schmooze, I have to take a 2.5 milligram gummy just to want to do it. And could I do it without? Yes, I could. Okay. I just don't like it. I don't like the idea of being around people that I don't know. I'm very comfortable in my own space. I'm very comfortable when I'm doing business with you. I'm very comfortable when I'm giving you a haircut. I'm very comfortable when I have a purpose to be there. You slam me into an echo chamber like the chamber, or an echo chamber like a function. Why am I here? Right.
So 2.5 milligram gummies. That's fair. That's fair. I hope your math skills are up to snuff, because you wouldn't want to drop a 25 before going into one of those events.
I made the mistake of taking a 10, and I'm a lightweight. Like, I'm such a bitch when it comes to that. A 2.5 is enough for me to really be in any social situation that I would desperately don't want to be at, but I am also polite and respectful, and I will attend.
See, a few years ago, I guess it was 2019, I had to go down to Florida for getting an award. Okay. And I didn't know this at that point in time, but it was like, hey, you know what? Guess what? You're going to go up on stage and you're going to get this award with 3,000 people in the front of the stage. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I go backstage, and I'm standing there about to go on stage, and a friend of mine is in front of me, and he goes, like, I'm kind of nervous. How are you feeling? I'm like, well, I'm a little nervous too. He's like, how do you get used to this sort of thing? And I was like, well, it's just simple. You game face it. You start putting on your ideal persona, the personality, the person that you want to see, and then you don't have to worry about it, because why would it matter if nobody likes the person that's up on stage? That's not necessarily you. That's your representation of who you are.
Well, and I think that there's also the idea, and I've again said this to the kids, you don't really have to give a shit what people think of you. Be nice. Be nice and be respectful. And if someone doesn't like you when you're nice and respectful, then you really don't need to give a shit.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
So being up on stage, I can do that, and I've done that. I really want to get into public speaking, and I love public speaking. I love getting out there and doing that, but don't put me in the crowd.
Yes.
Put me here, but don't put me in it.
Okay. Yes. Well, that's different though. Okay. Because the difference is, you have the spotlight, you have the attention, you have everything. But when you're thrown into a group of people, you don't know what's coming at you. You can't prepare for these sort of things.
No, but I do think that, like, I don't hide it. Our kids know that I would rather not be amongst strangers, but they've also seen me perform. They've also seen me in crowds. They've also seen me do this. So what have I shown them? You don't have to enjoy it. You don't have to like this. But when you have a job to do, you need to do it.
That's the thing. Sometimes these aren't about enjoyment. Sometimes these things are about, you have a requirement and a duty to stand up and do the things that you represent. And if you don't like that, I'm sorry. You learn how to like it or get through with it. Because nobody, which English king, the Second World War, had a stutter? Right, the King's Speech, that movie, right? And he had a stutter. Fantastic movie. It was like seriously moving parts in that movie, right? But he was very afraid of what the public would think about him, right? And this is royalty.
Okay, since we are opening up, and guys, anybody in chat, just open up, drop something here, because have you ever noticed my tick, Jay?
What is it?
Have you ever noticed my tick?
I haven't. No.
Okay. Have you noticed that I speak with my hands all the time, or my hands are always moving whenever I talk?
Yeah.
Okay. I had a horrible speech impediment, and I stuttered.
Okay.
I went through speech therapy as a kid, and in order for me to get over I couldn't say R's, W's, S's, and I stuttered. Okay.
Right.
In order for me to get through that, I was put on a balance beam, and I would speak while walking on a balance beam. So I was always I wasn't thinking about what I was saying. I was concentrating on my walking. So if you haven't noticed, or even when I do videos and stuff, my hands are always moving, and I do. I have as much as I can do this all day long.
Yeah.
I have to talk with my hands, and it's a tick.
But talking with your hands is something that a lot of people do, especially if you're Italian, which you're not.
But if I didn't, here's what I'm saying. We figured out a way for me to do it.
Yeah.
Get through it and not use that as a crutch for not being able to do things.
Right, because you found a workaround, you found something, you trained yourself to find ways to be socially present and to be aware of your, the things that are giving you the issues, and move through them by finding other social cues that could be used to, distract the subconscious perspective of your mind from those fear patterns or whatever it might be holding you back.
Right. So don't you think that in this system, and this was the school system that I did my speech therapy through.
Yeah.
Do you think the benefit was I benefited more from learning how to deal with my, whatever you want to call it, incapacity to speak, or would it have been better for the classroom to adjust to how I spoke?
Well, if you're running back then, absolutely it was better what he did. And even 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that was still done, because when we had my son assessed, because we were concerned about him, and, they take you out and they do all these things privately, and everything's done that way. Now it's kind of done in classroom.
But my question is, should the classroom and the teacher adjust to the way I speak? Or should I learn how to speak?
Absolutely. You're the variable.
Right. So if I can't get through and some people have a disorder that does not go away. That's
correct.
Or stammer, or they can speak properly. But it would be awfully selfish of my parents to tell the teacher to adjust his or her teaching methods. Because Quentin can't get up and read in front of the class.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Did I suck at it? Yeah, I did. But guess what? I got better. You have to be shitty to get better at it. And if you stay shitty, you're just going to be shitty.
Right. You really have to, today, and I've said this to a few people, especially in the world today, you have to start getting really good at the things you don't want to do. Because for too long, things have been easy. You've been able to work around it. Business, for example, it's like, well, I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to do that. And they could possibly get away with it. It's social media has made it so that we can put a large focus on the things that we are good at. Meanwhile, kind of shelter out and hide away the things that we're less proficient at.
And I think that's where things get mixed up. There's a little bit of mud that happens there, in that I believe that teachers are awesome. I do believe that teachers are great and teachers want to teach. I believe that 100%. And there are teachers that we both know that are kind of done with the system.
Hey, both my parents were teachers.
Right.
I come from a teaching family, right?
Right. Teachers are lovely and they want to enrich the lives of kids. However, when policies change, curriculums change, and none of this makes sense, I'll tell you right now, when teaching patience and active listening skills, yeah, you're right. They need to actually listen. They need to. And here's some bullshittery that needs to change. And I'm going to go with the hair thing because this is easy for me to do. They're teaching shit you're never going to do. They're teaching things you're never going to make a nickel doing. They are teaching things and putting heavy weight on things you're never going to do, and putting minimal effort into things that do actually make you money.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? How many roller sets do you think happen these days?
Yeah.
Roller sets.
What are those?
Yeah.
That's what they put in your hair. They put the big blow dryer
rollers.
On you, right?
Yeah. So roller sets, you have to do hundreds of these things during hair school. For what? Finger waves. You ever remember the flapper girls in the 30s with the hair that was like, you have to do a ass load of those.
Why? Is that just for heritage or what?
You're learning how to manipulate the hair, and I get it. But guess how much they spend? Yeah. Guess how much time they spend on men's cuts?
Probably zero. Next to
week.
Zero, eh?
A week.
Yeah.
Okay.
50% of the population, right? And that's where the money is.
So what do they want? They want the curriculum. They won't redo the curriculum. So they want the curriculum to be met, and they don't give a shit if you can make a living doing this when you leave. That's what pisses me off.
I mean, that's the reality of the situation, because there unfortunately is a very strong disconnect. Okay, a very strong disconnect between the concept of academia and education and finances. Making money. Okay, and I mean that's a very that's there. I've had that discussion where I've had a very strong academic in my office and said to me very clearly, "You are different from other people." And I said, "Why do you mean that? Why do you say that?"
Because you're Asian. Was it an Asian thing?
No, that's not racist. It's not always racist. So, and she said to me, because you're not doing this for the money. You're doing it because you're passionate. Okay. And I looked at her. I said, whoa, we're going to stop you for 1 minute there. Do you want to know why I got into massage therapy? And she says, yes, because you're passionate about it. And I said, no, because I did the math and the money was there.
Of course you do. We do everything for the money. Here's the thing. You know about the project that I'm wrapping up right now, right?
Yep.
I couldn't give half a shit if anybody pays for that. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. My goal is to educate people.
Right.
Make people better at this part of their life.
Right.
That's it. And if that turns into something for me, lovely.
Right.
Lovely. But I want to make sure that people aren't going in blind into certain things. And
correct.
We'll be talking about in another couple weeks.
And it gives you fantastic intrinsic value, because now you can say you are an published author, right? You are a writer. If you get an award or if you drive it up there,
don't care.
You're an accomplished writer. You're a best-selling writer.
Sure.
No, but these are nice things to say. I did that. These are checklists, and these are important things.
Two things that can come with this. One, I educate people and they become more comfortable in a certain process, right?
Yes.
And it was a lot of work, and and I get AC. You are, she's an academic, right? So she'll get it when she understands what it is that I did here, and when we drop it. But you know what it did? It showed our kids, that dude, if dad can do this, you can do this.
Well, that's the thing.
It's no different than the movie thing. Like, we just went and saw that shitty movie that I was in. There's a reason that I got zero.
Was it bad?
Zero.
Yeah, it was bad.
We went to the theater to see it. The theater gave me the poster. Like, here, you can have it. I'm like, thanks. But
please take it. Take it now.
Take it. But we watched the movie, and it was just like, now I know why I got 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. They paid $10 million to make this piece of shit, and it made 1.6.
Wow.
Not good. Here's an interesting thing, AC. Do they still have barber licenses? No. Guess what the first legal trade was? The first recognized trade in North America was?
Yeah, barbering. When was that?
Whenever they started making trades. Shit, if I know.
No, I'm very curious, actually. Like, do you know when that was?
Probably in the 1800s.
Hold on, I actually want to Google this. Okay.
When was barbering?
When was barbering registered
as a trade? Would have been a while ago.
Because like massage therapy is over 100 years in Ontario as a registered trade.
Yeah, barbering's been around a long time
too. It's a very long time. It's a bit tricky because trades are regulated by provinces. Okay, barbering became registered in most provinces between 1920s and 1940s. Barbers Act was 1942 in Nova Scotia.
So here's what's interesting: barbering is no longer a trade. Isn't that bullshit? Barbering is no longer a trade. So you have to become a cosmetologist. You have to take full-on hairdressing. So I can do updos, I can do colors, I can do all that shit. And I did women's hair for years.
Right.
Now, Brandon, Manitoba, here's the funny thing. ACC used to teach barbering. They were the last place to teach actual barbering around here. What happened was in the 80s, long hair became the norm. Guys had grew their hair out in the 80s. So they were going to salons.
Okay.
And then the barbershop disappeared. So as did the schools.
Yeah.
And they axed I was going to open up a barber school straight up. And it's no longer a recognized trade. Here's the interesting thing about that. I remember I had a young guy who wanted to become a barber. He would hang out at the barbershop just hang out there like stink on shit. He just was there.
Was that Edward?
No.
But scissor hands.
Yeah, right. But this kid came by and he wanted to become a barber. I'm like, you know what? You want to learn? We'll teach you. And I remember the licensing body. What the hell are they called?
The college?
The trade. Yeah, the trades. Whatever. Yeah. I get a call from oh my God, what's it called?
Trades Manitoba?
Apprenticeship Manitoba. Apprenticeship Manitoba calls me up and they go, have you got a unlicensed hairdresser working for you? I go, nope. Well, we understand that so-and-so is cutting hair in your shop. I go, yep. They go, well, he's not licensed. I go, you don't have a barber license. This isn't even a trade. This would be equal to you giving me shit for teaching someone how to blacksmith. That's not a recognized trade either. Right. I go, so tell you what, I go, bring your best over here.
Yeah.
They're going to do a cut and my guys are going to do a cut.
Yeah.
Okay. If my guy does shittier than your guy, then he can pack up his shit and leave.
Yeah.
I go, but I would be willing to bet my business that you don't have anybody that can do the work that this kid can do right now.
Right.
That's the last time I ever got a call from Apprenticeship Manitoba. I go, this isn't even a recognized trade.
Yeah.
Like we're not doing bloodletting here. Like this is not that old school.
It's not old school barbering.
No, but I do think that could be brought back because what you have now is a pile of barbershops. There are so many barbershops in this city.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. Are they registered? Does it matter? It's not a trade.
They're not. I mean, they're just operating. And I mean, a lot of them are ethnic based, right?
By the way,
because that's where they're all from.
I am a Red Seal and I'm what they call, I'd be a master barber. And I've also traveled the country teaching people how to barber. So I'm qualified to teach.
Yeah.
But let's get right back to on track with what we're talking about. Or is it the vocal minority of parents attack, second guess, or even harass teachers? Social media amplifies every conflict and it wears people down. Yeah. This is where, here's the thing. If I got in shit in school, my parents would not argue it.
Yeah,
never, exactly. Never. And I've told our kids, I'm like, if I ever get called to the class, if I ever get called to the school, because, and I say it to Gage because Bo wouldn't harm a fly.
Yeah.
Or if I ever get called to the school because the teacher said you did something, I believe the teacher. Yeah. I believe the teacher. Why? Because they got more important shit to do than call me.
They don't want to talk to me.
I'm not going to defend you. Like, I will, if there's a punishment that needs to be doled out, you probably earned it. Do I want to hear proof that it happened? Absolutely. But I'm not going to guess that they just made this up in their sleep and they're going to call me and ruin my day by calling me. No, your kid did something bad, wrong, and they're in shit. Like, accept the fact that your kid isn't perfect. How about that?
You know, I would have thought with the whole 2020, the parents would have clued in, because 2020 is when, for that half a year, we did that home learning. We continued on for another year after that, but it was half a year for most people. And all the students or all the parents became the teachers. And that's when all the parents realized, oh, you know what? It actually might be my kid that's the little asshole and not the teachers.
Right.
And I'm really surprised that we have forgotten that so quickly in a few short years, that these kids are quite simply not the perfect little angels that we think they are.
Oh God,
right?
No. Come on.
And the teachers are seriously sometimes just holding on for dear life.
Oh geez. AC, we just need to get her in here and let's talk about it. Actually.
Unfair treatment in education not only expanded avenues for justice and create new opportunities for students.
AC, do you have a cam? Like, would you want to hop in?
Well, I mean that's a pretty broad spectrum question. The statement, it is as a whole. I mean, those are pretty difficult to really give any true answers without doing any research beforehand. That's the issue, because you're running into, for one thing, different jurisdictions, right, as well as the different statistics.
You think we're wearing pants? Come on. No, I think that there has to be a certain amount of accountability for the kids and the parents.
Yeah.
And the teachers, but the teachers have the tools that they're given. Like, they have the tools that they're allowed to deal with, right? And they're overworked. Okay, go back to COVID. I believe this. You guys tell me. First of all, let's go two things. We burn through money in our city for bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay. We're net zero for new schools. Net
Correct.
Zero.
Well, let's even look at it even more. Okay. Like, I remember when I was in high school, and there were discussions about Brandon needing more elementary schools and potentially a new high school. Okay?
Of course we do.
So this was I graduated in 96, and that was a discussion. Okay.
Yeah.
And in that time frame, we have closed one and built another one.
Yeah, we're at net zero. And the problem with that is you've got these kids are stacked up like cordwood.
Yep.
Everybody has a special learning program. So how the
Yep.
hell do you even do that? Next 15 years be 100,000?
No,
Probably.
not quite. We talked to Jeff about that. You know, he said right now we're about 65, and what was it, 85 in 10 years, 15
So
years?
85,000. We also have
Yeah.
1,000 soldiers coming to Shiloh in the next
Yeah.
real quick here.
Yeah,
So
900 in the full battalion plus support staff
plus
and then
families.
also the families.
So let's
Yeah.
just say you've got 900
Yeah.
soldiers and 1 to 3 kids each.
Yeah.
Where are you going to stick them?
Yeah.
So what did we do? We built a soccer pitch with a cricket course or whatever the hell
Yeah.
that's called, because we need that.
Well, to be
We'll build
fair, you don't
To be fair,
putting the
what?
school there either.
Why not?
You want to right close to the prison.
Why not?
There's a lot better places, and there actually is a school being built, right?
Yeah, in Brookwood.
There's one in Brookwood, and there's another one being planned for the North Hill.
Yeah, so that'll be 10 years from now.
Oh,
And Brookwood will be
not.
5 years.
It's maybe the way the Maryland Park went. I hope not. So
Sure, but here's what I'm saying is we have too many kids,
Yeah.
and you want more teaching jobs? Here's a crazy idea. Remember when COVID hit and everybody was learning at home?
Yeah.
Okay, so why wouldn't they keep that model for the
Yeah.
kids that really don't need to be in the classroom? They're fine. Have
Well,
teachers that they can help with, but
Yeah.
if the kid does not need to be there because they're actually a good student,
Yeah.
let them learn at home. Have somebody at the school and online that can help them when they need it.
Oh, hold on. But we're getting into that's a whole different topic. Okay. Because one of the biggest reasons that people do send their kids to school, and this will get people really riled up, is because of childcare.
It's
Right.
not a daycare,
But a huge number of people use the school system as a daycare.
but it's
for
not a
that reason.
daycare.
Correct.
It's not a
It isn't.
daycare.
It isn't. And also, I will say there is a very large and growing group of homeschooling families. Okay?
Do you know why? Because of what
they're
we're
sick
talking
of
about
it.
tonight.
Because they're sick of it. I mean, we homeschooled for a year because quite simply we were like, we're not playing with this political garbage and the potential risks of our kids being in an environment during COVID. So we just went that way, right? So it was a good system. It was a lot of work. And also the government was not prepared for the number of homeschooling people that were going to be jumping into it. I don't know if they've gotten better, but that's an interesting topic.
Well, here's the thing. I believe that there was a time when the homeschool kids were kind of the weird kids because
They were the
Right.
weird kids,
because they weren't socializing,
Yeah.
right?
right?
Okay, so now you look at what's happening in actual school. These kids aren't really socializing
They're not
much at
socializing
all
anyways.
anyway. Right.
You know, but
So
also with homeschooling now, okay, there are different types of homeschooling, and one of which is unschooling. There are families whose concept of education is nothing.
oh,
They
that's
They
not
just
gonna
keep
help.
their kids home and they don't do anything, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
maybe they'll learn some basic skills, but they're going to help at the farm or hang out that way. And that's more homesteading type of education, right?
right. But I do think also that the difference that you'd probably see is that the kids that are homeschooled are very independent and they can make their own decisions and do their own shit. And I'm not talking about daycare. These kids are 12 plus. Okay,
Yeah.
12 plus, not 5.
Yeah.
12 plus. They can be at
Yeah.
home by themselves.
Yeah.
So take the daycare thing out of it. But if you have schools that are so jam-packed that they are not learning in that environment anyway, then you want more teaching jobs? Hey, what a great job. If I was a teacher, if I got my education degree and I could sit at home in my pajamas and be a teacher and not have to go to the school,
Yeah.
lovely. Safer, no one's biting me. And
Yeah.
I can help the kids that, you know what, they're getting science, they're getting math.
Yeah.
Hey, what do we need? And go there. If you can't build a school, have an online version of exactly what you're doing. Is it going to be more work for the teachers? Maybe.
That's actually what we had considered. And during COVID, that's what I was trying to do, was find a few guys who had kids approximately the same age in the neighborhood,
Yep.
who would be willing to, get X number of families together during the pandemic and find somebody who has the capability of some sort of education, who has that skill set. So whether it's like a preschool teacher or something like that, somebody who has that ability,
Understands lesson
and
planning.
and
things
understands it. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And have them homeschool our 8 children,
Sure.
because it's going to cost some money, right? But that's okay, because back then I was like, well, I don't want the plague.
Right. But we're not in the plague, right? We're not in a
Right.
physical plague, and we're in a mental plague right now.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah. I think right now, and you did the right way, because basically you are in kind of a private school.
we're in a semi-private school, and Kelsey and I were talking about this about a week ago, that it's going to be such a shock to them when they go to the public school. Because here's what's interesting. First of all, our kids are probably, there is every culture under the sun there, which is lovely. There's Filipino kids, Spanish kids, everything else. And there's like 3 white kids per class. Not that that's a thing, but that's not going to be the difference when they go to public school.
That sounds like Waverly too.
Right. So it's going to be a multicultural school regardless. Here's the difference. The ideals of all these kids and all these families line up. Like there's no, everybody just gets along. Everybody gets along. There's no real cliques. There's no, like, when Gage goes to high school, he's going to see, the kids smoking in the alley and the bad kids and the real piece of shit kids that we know exist in high school. And he'll be like, what the hell is this? That's going to be a shock. Lots of other schools, they already exist. Okay. So that's going to be a change. Do I think that the public school system is bad? No, I think that I wish that the teachers could say what they need to say and be heard by the powers that be that are in charge, and they listen to them.
Well, unfortunately, that's a problem when you have a whole lot of people, the politicians who are running it, who aren't necessarily the educators, right?
Well, the school board, dude, I ran for this. Do you know why I ran for the school board in the city?
Create some actual change?
Yeah, because here's the thing. I had teachers, students, and parents all saying, Quentin, you want to hop on? I'm like, are you kidding me? I just finished not winning a city election, but okay, sure.
Yeah, sure.
And I did. Yeah. Here is my only, and again, whoever's in chat, you tell me if I'm wrong. The only thing I really wanted to make sure that I changed in that school board was term limits.
Yeah.
Nobody should be on that board for 20 years. Nobody should be on that board for 20 years. If you don't have any skin in the game, you don't have kids in that school, in the school division, get the hell out of there. Well, if you're there for 30 years and now you're running this table like it's your own little country, piss off.
And you get 20 people there. Sorry, you get people in there for 20 years. You create a situation where people are also afraid of running against you. Okay.
Of course.
So this person's been there for 18 years. I think they've got so much support. There's no chance of me running against that person, that is the opposite of progressive movement on any civilization standard, right? Things do not change. They become stagnant and they stay the same.
There are people around that table that won't say shit because the person that's at the head of it's been there for 20 years.
Exactly.
So there's a big issue that works.
Yeah. Right? That's not democracy.
No. So, do 2 terms and then piss off. If people want you back, they'll vote you back in. You should not be there that long.
Exactly. I mean, there are fundamental problems with that.
Yeah. And I also believe that the whole school system is to educate the kids. Education, period. Oligarchy. You know what, AC? I believe 100% that that's what's happened. It's turned into some bullshit where it is it's this little cluster that will pander to whoever's going to vote for them.
Yeah.
And they need to step aside. Yeah. And my whole thing with going in, and there was only 1 seat. I was running against 1. Like it was, and I wasn't pandering to shit. The only thing I was going for was educate the kids, make sure they can read, they can write, they can understand the world.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't give a shit about whatever the hot topic is at the moment. And at the moment, there are some pretty hot topics. I didn't care about any of that. I don't care. Can my kids read? Can they read or watch? Can they do the things they need to do to function in life? If we're not teaching them that, then the education system is failing.
Well, I think there are some very valuable topics that maybe need to be addressed that sometimes gets dodged over for the stuff that's, the feel good topics, right? Mm-hmm. Especially like you said, they were the ones that are trending at the time because, how our society was progressing for a while. And I think some of those could be weaponized for some potential use against the teachers.
100%. Heaven forbid if you said something that was against whatever the trend was that day. Yeah. Well, if you're right, you're right.
Right? Like I'm sorry, I can completely understand with people wanting to have different genders and pronouns and everything like that, and that's fantastic.
You're getting into that one.
Okay. We're going to go there. We're going to go heated, and I can understand that completely. Okay, you have an identity and you're seeking your identity, but when you have people changing their identities without informing the school division, the board, the teachers, or whomever, you need to inform and get upset that. They're calling me, but I was a they last week, but now I'm actually a he this week. and I'm offended, say, well, hold on here. If you didn't do your due diligence of notifying us of change, how can we do our due diligence of giving you the respect that you're requesting?
Okay, so I'm gonna give you an example of what was happening in my school. Okay, back when I was in school.
Yeah.
Remember The Crow?
The movie? Yeah.
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 There was a guy that dressed like that all the time.
That's
Had
fair.
to make it everything.
Yeah.
Like he just dressed, but he was the most chill person you'd ever meet.
Yeah.
Incredibly intelligent. That was his thing. That was
Yeah.
his thing. And guess what? He didn't expect us to address him as Eric Draven.
Yeah.
He was just, that was his look, his thing. He did it.
Yeah.
He liked it. That's how he
Yeah.
that's how he dealt, right? And do what you want to do. It does not have to affect me.
Yeah.
We didn't have to pretend that he was actually the Crow.
Exactly.
He just did that.
Yeah.
There's the line. He knew he wasn't the Crow. He was just, that was
Exactly.
my thing, and that's fine. And it affected nobody in the school, and nor should it. Like,
No,
the fact that I'm
absolutely not.
married. I'll tell you something that happened when I was in school, when I was at Crocus. It was Pride Week, which I have family. Like our
Absolutely.
godparents of
Yeah.
our kids are married and they're gay. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm there. And I don't care, because guess what? It's not their identities, it's what they do.
Yeah.
Good for you. Great.
Yeah.
And this kid came up to me, and it was Pride Week. She goes, Mr. Durack, how do you feel about Pride Week? And I said, I really don't care.
Yeah.
And the teachers that were surrounding me, they had a look on their face like I just strangled a kitten in front of everybody.
Right.
And she goes, what do you mean? I go, well, here's the thing. You're in high school right now. I go, if you had acne, you'd have a tough go. If you had braces, it'd be a tough go. If you were overweight, you'd have a tough go. If you weren't athletic, you'd hate gym class.
Yeah.
Trust me. When this is over, no one's going to care. You're going to go on your life, and people are going to be fine with whatever you're doing. I go, right now, everybody sucks. Yep. Everybody's going to judge you no matter what you say, what you do, or how loud you scream.
Yep.
And she looked at me, she goes, that's probably the coolest explanation I've ever had.
Yeah.
I said, well, that's reality. I go, it doesn't really matter. You do you, man.
That's
like,
the thing.
do what you're doing. And this kid was actually in my hair class, and she was lovely. Yeah. Was that her thing? I think there was some insecurity maybe. Yeah. But when she realized that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You are, like I said, I'm married and I have 2 kids. Does that affect your life at all? She goes, well, no. I go, it's the same. It's just the opposite direction, right? It doesn't really matter.
We got to be really serious here when it comes to a lot of people's judgments and everything on what people are doing or what they're saying or whatever is quite simply often projections of their own personal insecurities.
Well, okay. I do think that there's lines that don't to be crossed. Like, the reality is, if our kids knew what their teachers like to do in the bedroom, that person should not be a teacher.
Well, I mean, that stuff should really not be vocal and demonstrate or put on public display, especially to young children who are influenceable, right?
Well, what's funny is that kids in high school will try to push it. Right. They'll try to push it to get you to say something you're not supposed to say. And this happened when I was at school, and it was Easter or Christmas or something like that. And a kid asked me, Mr. Durack, do you believe in God? And I know you're not supposed to talk about religion. You are not supposed to talk about religion.
Right.
And I said, well, here's what I believe. I said, I know that my grandparents have never met my children. I believe that one day they will.
Right.
That's it. That's all I'm giving you.
Right.
So you can still say your thing. Just read the room.
You can, well, that's the thing that people aren't very good at. You can read the room very carefully and give an answer that is not preachy or demanding of certain reactions, but it can also be educational and kind.
For sure. Like, the reality is, the people that care the most about certain things are the people that are in those things. The rest of the world's like, I don't give a shit. Like, do what you do, you, man. We were some of the most accepting people. And here's the thing. When we went to school, there were different types of kids, right? You had your nerds, your jocks, your rats, your this, that, and everything else.
Totally.
But we didn't care.
Yeah.
We didn't care. We didn't give half a shit.
I like the number of times
exactly.
I hung out with different people in like the cafeteria, right? Of all kinds, because people just mingled. And I mean, some of those people maybe I shouldn't have been with, but it was like, why not?
But I'll tell you what,
you don't want to be seen with some of those people. It's like, but I would much rather be have them knowing me on a personal level than them discovering me on a questionable position.
But there was a difference in school when we were there because and I remember seeing like the cafeteria crocus, right?
Yeah.
If there was a kid getting picked on, like I'm talking like your actual nerd, right? Getting picked on by some asshole.
Yeah.
You'd have a guy from the football team step up and take care of it and defend that kid, not flip open a phone and film the kid getting bullied.
Wow, that's the thing. Nowadays everyone wants to be a part of the social revolution of indecency and inappropriate behavior, but they don't want to get involved. But they'll broadcast it to everyone.
Right. And that's where social media, I think, is a problem in that kids are documenting things that they're watching, seeing, hearing.
Yeah.
With no real repercussions, and then they're posting it because they believe it's going to make them more popular on social media.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
Then they get in shit at school for posting it because you should have done it in the first place. Human decency, right there, AC. Human decency. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Step in and do something about it. Like kids need to learn that it's okay to stand up for somebody and yourself.
Well, the reality is, if you especially when it comes to standing up for things, because people are really scared, right? So people tend to follow the least course of conflict, right? So there's a phrase: if you stand for everything, you stand for nothing.
Of course,
right? Because it's very accurate. It's like you can't be that pandering person, and this is very true with politicians. They eventually have to take a stance, and it's going to offend and piss off 50% of the people. But that's what you have to do if you want to solidify who you are as an individual and prove that you're an actual leader.
Okay, so taking that and then taking social media, and then let's go with AC being decent, and let's talk about things that aren't being taught in school anymore. Don't you think in an age of social media where the reality is anybody can become a social, if someone says I'm going to be a TikTok influencer, sure,
go for it.
Do it. But in the reality of the world we live in, everybody here in chat, everybody out on social media, you are one video away, one post away from going viral, and it could change your life. That's fair.
That's true. Yes.
So would it not make sense to teach kids confidence, to teach kids how to enunciate, to teach kids how to have a broad vocabulary, to teach kids how to present themselves, to teach kids how to public speak, even if it's through camera?
These classes are typically called leadership classes, and they are done. There's one called the Youth Revolution where they do teach leadership skills, but they are also optional.
Right? Well, Gage is in that, and Gage took leadership because he had the option of French or leadership, and I said, I don't give
leadership.
No, and I said, I don't give half a shit if you learn French. You will never, ever, 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 ever need it.
Right.
Okay. Why won't you need it? Because I know people that have jobs that required French that have never spoken French in their entire careers.
Exactly.
Okay, so don't give a shit if you learn French.
How I used to say it is, people would tell me that French is important and I believe it. Some people are really important in it. Okay. And they really feel it's important, but people have always told me that this is great if your kids learn French because they'll be able to get a job in the government. And my response was, no kid of mine is working for the government.
Why do you want a government job?
Right.
Like, unless you want to be someone's bitch forever, but never get fired. There's that. You won't get fired. So you got that. But I mean, again, do what you want. I don't care. But if we want our kids, and it'd be fair to say that everybody wants their kids to be a leader, not a follower.
Exactly. Well, I mean, to be fair,
there's stability.
Not everyone needs to be a leader. Like that's a big thing. But people need to have a certain amount of confidence and competence, competence, and independence.
Well, and I think that teaching kids that they can do good by people, like leadership is fantastic because it actually teaches tangible skills.
Yes.
Gage, here's where got to be a good follower. You have to be a good student.
Yeah.
We have to be interested. A follower.
I think people need to be.
You can be good. You need to be a good employee. I'll give you that. Until you get to the point where you're starting your own business, you need to be an excellent employee.
You also need to be able to realize your position in certain hierarchies. Okay?
There is a hierarchy. And guess
what? There is a hierarchy. 100%.
Does anybody here believe that parents and kids are on the same level, or kids and teachers are on the same level? There's a hierarchy in life.
100%.
Of course there are.
It's a pyramid. It's a hierarchy. It's absolutely a pyramid. I had that. We talked about that. I was telling you about my experience with the clients, and I was saying, like it is a pyramid, and they were saying, yeah, your kids should never be at the same level as your parents. And I said, that's true, and but who's at the top of the pyramid, right? And they said, well, it's the parents. I said, no, there's two parents. You got to have something on top of the parents.
Who's on top?
Who's on top of the parents? Are you going to say it's the husband? And she was like, no, I'm not saying that at all. I'm like, so it's the wife then? Is that what you're saying? And she's like, no, maybe, And I was like, well, you got to really think about it. Who is on top?
Okay, who's on top in your house?
Well, I mean, it's me. It's me.
Don't say that too loud.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa, no, here she comes.
She's gonna throw it at you again.
But realistically, the answer, always the answer is always a higher power.
Of course, the answer is the adult in the room is the authority.
It's always God, whichever one, Thor or God or whatever one you want to talk about, right?
AC, I've never seen a truer statement written in this chat until now. Students are the crew and the adults need to be the captains. You absolutely are correct. And I'll tell you what, there was a time when if you question the captain, you got the whip across the back.
Yeah, that's called the quartermaster, right? So.
Right. But I think that, so Gage, example. Now, our kids go to St. Augustine's, okay? And it's a wonderful school. It's got small classes, but he takes leadership. Do you know what they're doing as part of their leadership? St. Vincent de Paul is a thing that the church does. And people bring in stuff for families that need it.
Right.
Gage came home from school one day. And he said, Dad, he goes, I had no idea how many people don't have winter coats. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He goes, I was putting the coats out and he was rolling a rack of coats out.
Yeah.
And he goes, Dad, I couldn't even get to where the rack had to be. And they were grabbing the coats off the rack.
Yeah.
And things like that, a little bit of humility, a little bit of you realize how good your life is in comparison. Not that we're here to compare people, but the fact that he's not blind to the problems that people are facing right now.
Yeah.
And he's 12.
Yeah.
He's 12 and he understands that. That's where humility is one of the things that no one's being taught anymore because we're all taught that we're awesome.
Yeah. So my girls, I am very happy with the fact that they are observant to the world around them. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this was a funny thing that happened a couple summers ago. Okay. So actually it was in the fall, I guess, because I had put on a fall jacket. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we're driving down the Corral Center and I reached in my pocket. I'm like, oh, that found money when you find $20 in your pocket, right? And you're like, oh, hey, this is great. I'm $20 richer.
Yep.
Girls, I just found $20 in my pocket.
There's nothing better.
Right? Nothing better than that. And they're like, that's cool. And I said, do you guys want to go for a Starbucks and we can get like a treat or something? Mm-hmm. And they went, yes, that's what we should do. As we pulled to the stop sign, there was a guy standing there, with a sign that said, anything to buy food or whatever, right? And so they looked over at him and I looked at them and I was like, or girls, maybe we should give the gentleman the $20.
Sure.
And they both looked at me and they, very quickly you could see the reaction in their head. It's like, I can get snacks, treats, or, we can give it to somebody who really needs it. And they said, yeah, Dad, we should give him the money. Right. So I was like, okay. Passed him the money. They handed it over to him and he was very grateful. Like, oh, thank you so much, little girl, and everything. And they pulled away and my girls were just smiling and they're like, Dad, that felt really good. I'm like, well, yeah, you made the guy's day. He can get some food now.
Well, and as cheesy as it is to say, there are races, right? Yeah. But it's a human race. And I know it sounds super cheesy, but for Christ's sakes, if we could all just be decent human beings to everybody, I don't give a shit what culture you're from. If you're respectful of mine, I respect yours. I don't give a shit where you came from. If you're nice, I'll be nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And we just need to stop this crap. Like there's too much opposing everything all the time. Like they're against us or we're against them or we hate them or they hate us. You know what? Not really. Not really. I don't like assholes.
Yeah.
Period.
This is like that movie. It's this classic movie that was filled with life lessons. It was Austin Powers Gold Member, right?
Okay.
And his father, he goes,
his
there's
father.
his father,
Okay, yes.
Fasha.
Right,
But his
Fasha.
father goes, there's two things I hate in the world. The first is people who are intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch.
The Dutch. Yeah.
I mean, you got 50%. You got 50% right.
Yeah, 50% right. Now, here's the thing that I wish that if I could revamp the education system. AC, if you're still there, please chime in on this one. Wouldn't it be wonderful if every teacher in the school division, every teacher that's teaching any kid could anonymously do a poll that says, here are the holes in the system that need to be anonymously, because they're paranoid as shit. They do not want to be hurt. They can't say anything because they'll get disciplined, right?
That's the thing. They don't want to lose their job over speaking over certain things.
Right. So let's just say they did an anonymous poll again amongst every teacher in Manitoba, in Canada, whatever.
Yeah.
Do that and then post those publicly.
Right.
And then hold the school divisions accountable to the actual issues that the teachers are seeing in the classrooms.
Well, I mean, there's a thing, like these aren't surprises. And I mean, some of them are unfounded, some of them are crazy. You're going to get some radical, crazy things. People are going to be like, I don't know. They're going to bring up things that aren't appropriate, or they're just flat out wrong. But you're also going to get a lot of data of what people are thinking and what they're worried about. And, I get it. Neither one of us are teachers. But guess what? We have kids in the system, so we do get a say.
Well, the parents should also be involved, but the people that are working the front lines know the holes, but they can't say it. And AC, the effort and time it would take to complete that, it would literally take an afternoon.
Well, no, I wouldn't say it would. Actually, I would say in order to do something actually tangible that was very effective, you would need a qualified team of individuals. You would have to operate at an academic level, and you would probably need an ethics commissions board to oversee these things. Like this type of thing would, if you really wanted to do it appropriately, that made a significant difference. A poll isn't going to do it. You would need some data that was actually written and published as some sort of thesis or report. So imagine if we had a school of education or something.
Okay,
close by.
So let's just say we simplified this for the idiots in the room. This is like me. Every teacher has a dummy account, a dummy email account that is not attached to their name that they can be traced back to.
Yeah,
do that. This could all be done with AI, pretty much.
Yes, I get what you're saying, but the problem is, there is a question of whether it is valid or legitimate, whereas actual data collection can be done anonymously, but still kept can be done, but kept confidential. And that would be the bigger thing over anonymous.
It's not impossible. It could be done.
It's not impossible. It's just, it would be time consuming and costly.
I don't know if it'd be costly. Not these days. I don't think it'd be that costly.
It's doing anything when it comes to any data collection or anything like that, it is very costly. I don't even want to tell you how much it costs to do my thesis.
Okay, what if it was voluntarily done?
Voluntarily done.
Voluntarily. Hey, there's this website you can go to. You can put in, and you'd have to have a code. You'd have to have a way that you are actually a teacher. There's a way to do it. You have a secure code.
These things have been done before. They have been done, and that is the thing, because there have been questions that popped up in various sources, maybe not necessarily the Brand School Division, but talking about where the deficiencies are and where people feel the deficiencies are. But yeah, in order to do it credibly, you do need to do it through some academic association.
Okay, you collect the data. Where would you be analyzing it? Where would it be stored? That's easy. You send it to CBC.
Oh, I don't even know if CBC would run that.
I think they would.
I don't think so, because it still requires a certain amount of credibility.
No, you can't. You don't have to force them. Voluntarily. If you wanna voice it, knock yourself out. No one's gonna know you did it. There is a way. I'm just saying. I'm hypothetically saying.
And I wish
that the nuts and bolts of what I'm trying to say is, I wish that teachers that are on the front line could voice the problems that they have.
Yeah.
And have it heard by someone, and then publicly put out, here are the holes in the system according to 720 teachers that were polled. here are the problems. And if 90% of them are saying this, and 20% of them are saying this, and 80% of them are saying this, then they have to listen.
Actually, sorry, I'm going to cut you off for 1 second here, because this is really the way you do it. You just contact the union.
Yeah, you're right. The union would do it all. The union would do it.
And they have the means, they have the financing, they have the people, they have the staff, they have the
would want to do it.
They just do it, and they just do it. Those are the people you do it. You don't do anything independently, because if you do something independently and anonymously, it just turns into a slander fest. That's the problem. You get the university, it's going to cost you a ton of money. You get a union to do it, because these are the things that are valuable for the membership.
And the union wants the members to be happy. So there is a way. There's a way.
Yeah.
Now,
problem is now you're playing with politics.
Well, you want to get into politics. I also think that everybody who's educating children should be screened just the same way they would if they're going to be a cop.
I mean, that's fair.
I think that there should be more than just a, hey, what have you been charged with check?
Especially when you
deeper.
You look at the cases down in the States where you have teachers having inappropriate relationships with various students, right?
Yeah.
It seems like we get more and more of that.
AC, I don't know if you can DM me your email. I'm going to send you something interesting that I put together a while ago that I haven't launched, that I didn't put out yet, but what I think should be happening with that whole system. But I think that there's holes in the system for a lot of things. I think that lots of teachers have their hands, sadly, handcuffed, and they can't just do what they went to university to do. They went to teach. They went to inspire young minds and to make them ready for the rest of the world. And they're not getting that anymore. Like I have a teacher, a friend, a client, whatever you want to call it. And in a class of 30, there are over 20 special education needs. Well, how the hell are you supposed to navigate that? How? That was not part of your educational degree.
Yeah.
And again, you got the 10 or 12 kids that are okay doing whatever you work you give them, that are sitting there waiting for this to get done. Yep. There's a lot of things that have changed in the world, and I don't know what happened. But I mean, you've got things that are, what was the
well, there's a lot of changes that as a whole, and I wouldn't say it's any small components, but it has been very large amounts of societal change that has been very broad spectrum, very widespread.
Would it be fair to say that kids, I remember I had a note here, teachers know what kids need. They need time, attention, flexibility, and support, but the system forces them to do the opposite: rush them, standardize them, sort them, and label them. The gap between what they believe in and what they're allowed to do breaks people. This is where teachers break.
Yeah. I mean, you see that. And I've had clients that, that started out as teachers, and I've seen them go through their entire career, like 15, 20 years worth. And you can see them change. You can see them become harder. You can see them kind of caring a little bit. Not caring less, but caring differently.
Well, there used to be there was a stigma attached to it too, where teachers would quit. And it used to be good teachers don't quit.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, great teachers are quitting.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Great teachers are quitting because they're done. They're done no longer teaching. They're done no longer preparing these kids for the real world. Yeah. That's really the big issue. So, you know what? I've got to get out of here, man. It is 10 o'clock and I've got to scoot. So, okay, guys, you know what? Here, let's go. Let's do some final thoughts before we leave this. Do I believe that? Do I believe it could be better? Yes. Do I believe there are things that they're not being taught? Yes. Do I think it's a teacher's fault? Not necessarily. Do I think that the system has standardized it or watered it down to the point where you're just going through the motions? According to teachers, parents, and students that I've talked to, and I talk to them on a regular basis, they all share that.
Well, I mean, we have the situation of a whole lot more students, but not a lot of support, and the teachers are expected to do more with less resources.
Yeah, and we burn through money doing shit that is not necessarily helping these kids. And when I say they're the future, they are the future.
Yeah.
And if if we're burning money on stuff that's not like it sickens me that there's a school that doesn't have a library.
Yeah.
It's a cart. Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, there's it's a common thing that librarians have been kind of getting phased out of the school system, when in reality, the librarians are some of the more educated people in the building.
Absolutely, they are. Absolutely, they are.
It's a real shame, but it also shows the fact that, quite simply, there isn't much in the way of libraries anymore, which is even scarier, right? When they're turned into the necessity of moving them into classroom settings more than libraries.
There was a time when the kid needed some quiet time to go and study, and they could do that in the library, and they're missing that.
Yep.
Get away from the noise.
Yeah. It's just changed, and I think it's being overpopulated and underfunded. Like absolutely underfunded, especially when you look at the older.
Holy shit! Here we go. Jesus, JT coming in from South Korea at the final moment.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, there's a lot of it.
Read it. You're faster than me. You're
just like. Education with decades of classroom experience, the level of training experience deserves more respect. Very different from the perspective of a parent who believes, well, that's true. Every kid thinks their kid is the next coming. So that's kind of the problem. And I mean, that's part of the thing is kids have really become to realize that they have a certain amount of leverage over a teacher. They just have to lie, and the parents are going to believe them.
I have, and again, we're going to wrap this up, but I have told our kids that if you're lying to me, I won't back you.
Yeah.
Ever.
I have 100% belief, and I'll support my kids 100%, to the point that I've said, if you're getting bullied and you feel the need to punch someone out and you get suspended from school, I'm taking you for ice cream.
Oh, absolutely.
But absolutely. Don't lie. There's strong boundaries. And I have right now, I have a very strong feeling that I don't think my girls could do it without bawling their eyes out, because the look I could give them, they would crack instantly.
If there was one thing that I think that I taught the kids that I taught our kids, and I hammered this into them all the time, is own your mistakes. Own it. If you fucked up, tell me you did. I don't want to walk into something that's broken and be like, what the hell happened here? I want you to come to me and say, I broke this.
Well, that's the thing, just be honest and be open about these things. And it's like, okay, let's fix it. But if you're going to lie about it, someone's going to get hurt.
But I also won't bullshit the kids. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to be mad that you broke something. Like, what the hell were you doing? You're going to be in shit for it. But I would rather you own it. And I think that even in school, no one wants to own them. I didn't do it. Do it. Yeah, you kind of did. You did.
There's been times when when with kids, it's like, looking after other kids, like friends or like kids' friends or whatever. And it's like a kid does something. And it's like, why did you do that? I didn't do it. I watched you do it.
I saw you do it.
You literally did it, right? You did it right there.
Trust me, the cat did not light itself on fire. I saw you do it.
Right? There's no getting away. I didn't do it. I saw you.
God, kids suck at lying. I'll tell you that. Kids really suck at lying.
That's the thing, right? That's that's
so
the difference between grown-ups and kids is just really their coping strategies, and that's about it.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, Greg, no, now Greg Hobson, don't you wish our politicians own their mistakes?
Yeah.
No, they're doing the best they can, guys. They're doing
innocent.
The best they
They're
can.
Innocent. Okay, let's talk 1 second, and I'm out of here. Politicians, though. Okay, so do you remember during the pandemic, and all those politicians flew south for the winter? And they came back and they're like, I had a lapse in judgment. I really apologize for my misdeeds. I lost all respect for you. Just come out and own it. I thought I'd get away with it. I thought the rules didn't apply to me. I screwed up.
Well, and that's where everybody needs to learn. The rules apply to everybody.
That's the thing. Like, if you come out and you say, yeah, you know what? I just thought I would get away with it, and I got caught. I'm like, well, you know what? I don't like the fact that you did that, but I'm going to give you credit for having the balls of owning up to your mistake.
Yeah, we will wrap this up.
Yeah.
My dad used to tell me this. Every once in a while, Quentin, you're going to serve your own plate of shit to yourself. And guess what? You're going to have to eat it.
Yeah.
And you're going to choke that down. It ain't going to taste good, but you only going to do that once.
And you better smile when you're eating it too.
You're going to eat that plate of shit because you served it to yourself.
Yeah.
And I have remembered that through everything. Do our kids know that lesson? Yeah.
Yeah.
Kid, you scoop it on the plate, you're eating it.
Yep.
That's absolutely on you.
Yep.
So, okay, guys, Thank you guys for hopping on. I think that this was good. We got into this wasn't quite as controversial as I thought it was going to be. I think
we should spice it up a little bit more. So
yeah, we will. But I think that it's important. I think our kids need us, and the teachers need us, and I think that everybody needs to speak up when it comes to these meetings, and do what you got to do. Like, the reality is, if we do nothing, it stays the same. How about that?
Yep. Exactly. I mean, education does come from part from the teachers, but it also is a huge amount of the parents. And today, I think a lot of parents have really signed off on that, and they go, you know what, they're learning what they want at school. We're going to be fun. We're just going to have a lot of cool experiences, and they're unfortunately going to be losing out on the realistic growth patterns that they could be getting, because you can only learn so much in school. Your parents have something to teach you as well. So step up.
Absolutely.
Start owning it.
You surprisingly stayed on topic. Isn't that the first time we've ever stayed on topic?
We'll fix that for next
time. We'll scatter it up next week. Okay, guys. Have a great weekend.
Okay. Have a good night, everyone.